Welcome all to the Girls in AI Global Hackathon 2021 in San Francisco, hosted by Teens in AI and ByteQuest. This is Subhagami Ramaya, founder of ByteQuest. To all girls in AI hackers out there, you came up with a fantastic idea on solving a pressing real-world problem in gender inequality, inequality in education, and climate crisis using the latest artificial intelligence and machine learning technology. And you built a working prototype. But the big question is, how do you pitch your idea to a great panel of judges or potential investors? Today, we are joined by a corporate storyteller and a pitch alchemist for startups, Donna Griffit, an expert in weaving compelling stories for startup ideas that attracts funding. Donna has worked with over 1,000 startups, Fortune 500 companies, and venture capitalists in a wide variety of industries, and she has trained clients in over 30 countries. Welcome, Donna. Thank you for joining us and sharing your expert tips in pitching with our budding entrepreneurs who are going to pitch their idea for the very first time.
Thank you so much. And I think this is just amazing what you're doing. And I'm proud of every single one of you out there that you've come this far. It's just mind-blowing to see girls, young women doing this kind of complex work at such a young age. So it gives me hope. I have two little girls, they're 7 and 4. So I hope that by the time they reach your age, they're already doing machine learning and AI and deep learning and NLP and all the good stuff that we need in order to make this world a better place. So yes, we are going to be focusing in on the pitch. So I'm going to give you a brief workshop. I wish I could be with you live and see all these amazing things, but hopefully after COVID is over, we'll all get together and for the next hackathon. So I do want to give you my winning formula for a 5-minute pitch or a quick pitch. How long are they going to have? 5 or 4 or 3?
It's just three minutes. 3 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes. Okay, so it says 5 on one of the slides maybe, but take it as 3, same difference. So it may seem like, oh my gosh, how are we going to have to say everything we have to say in 3 minutes? And I want to give you the surefire formula of what should be in there and then a few extra bonus tips. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Can you see my slides?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so I look at this picture on the right and I remember that once upon a time we went to concerts and I missed that. So hopefully we'll all be back to that sometime soon. And we want our audience, even if it's virtual and even if, and whether it's live and whether it's an audience of 5 or an audience of 500, to have that kind of sense of excitement. So if you were just to randomly walk down the street and ask someone, excuse me, what's a pitch? Most likely they would answer something to do with baseball, unless they worked for a startup or an ad agency. So the actual definition of pitch, though, is not far off from the kind of message I want you to give. So to pitch is to throw, fling, hurl, or toss. I want your message to really get out there, be thrown at them, make them, wow, want to catch it, have that kind of interaction and that kind of excitement. I don't want people sitting there like that. All right, so your goal is to really open their mind and intrigue them. And there is no way that in 3 minutes you will be able to tell the entire story. Not going to happen. So don't even think about it. It's not doable, and it's not a good thing, because when we try to shove too much information in a short amount of time, it doesn't work for us. So what should be in? So there are 3 things that investors are constantly listening for: credibility, likability, and momentum. So what that means: credibility, how well do you know your craft? How much have you studied this? Have you done past things? What's your team like? What kind of assets do they have? Likability, are you a pleasant person? It's not like we're all smiley, no, but someone who's coachable, someone who's open to take feedback. And momentum, how far have you gotten? Now, obviously it's a hackathon, so you probably haven't gotten farther than maybe a little prototype or proof of concept or something that works, but still they're going to want to hear those things. So the first thing that we want to identify is our vision. All right, so when you work on a product or a startup, you want to think about what will be different in 5 years from now when we've grown our company or we've actually brought this to market? What are we doing this for? Now, there's a man named Simon Sinek. He talks a lot about your vision. He's great. He's got some great TED Talks. I would highly recommend watching him. And he says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind. There's 3 pieces of this story that you're going to tell in 3 minutes. I know it's crazy. Your why. Why are we doing this? What's our big vision to create world peace, to end hunger, to be more sustainable, whatever it is that your big loftier goal is. Then there's the what are you doing? We'll get to that in a little while. And then how are you doing it? That will be maybe a little demo of your actual product that you have created. So starting off, we want to either make the audience feel the pain or go, hallelujah, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, I can't believe you're doing this. So one or the other. Either you want them to feel like, oh my gosh, there's something really bad in the world and I can't wait for it to be solved, or, ooh, I'm really intrigued and having something better happen in my life. And you can go either way. It's just a question of what works better for your product. And then we want to turn that into a story. So that's the very first act of our play. Think of this pitch, this 3-minute pitch, as an act as a play in 4 acts. And we'll look at the acts in a little while, a very short play. So we want to turn that problem or opportunity statement into a story. It can be your origin story. It can be why you even came up with this. Maybe something happened in your life or in your family's life or on the news, or a problem you identified in the world. It could be a quote. It could be anything that really shows us why there is a problem and a need in the world. Now, Mark Twain said, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So I am not for 1 minute saying lie, make up things, but I do want you to remember that we can make the story a little bit more oomphy. So for example, I was working a few years back with a very technical startup, and the founders were talking about deep learning and machine learning and computer vision and image analysis, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't understand what it was they were doing. And then finally, one of them said, you know, this one time when we were in Tokyo, and my storyteller antenna went up, and I'm like, oh, you mean you came up with the idea in Tokyo? How cool is that? Why didn't you tell me? And then they're like, no, we told you already. It's computer vision and image analysis and machine learning. I said, okay, be quiet. You came up with the idea in Tokyo. Got it? They looked at me like, huh? But then after a little while, they got it. Because doesn't it sound sexier to say something like, we were roaming the streets of Tokyo, feeling lost in translation, looking at all these beautiful buildings, having no clue what we were looking at because there was not a single sign in English. And then we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could just pick up our phone and click on the building, and right away we would see exactly what it was, what was there, what the history was, what there was around. And then they thought, well, with our background in computer vision and image analysis, why can't we do that? And now they've become a company that have an AR and VR layer. It's embedded into car windows. So as you drive through a town, you actually see pop-ups showing you different points of interest. Now, do you think their investors asked them to see their passports so they could see when they were in Tokyo and when they actually gave this? Not likely. So that's the point. You don't have to make it exactly like accurate, but that's bringing a story that draws it, that makes us feel, that makes us resonate. A lot of us, and probably judges on the panel as well, have traveled to countries where we don't read the language, we don't understand, and you feel kind of lost. So some of you might have already traveled and seen places like that as well. So it's about feeling part. That's the big pain that they're solving. So this is finding the pain or the villain. Think of it as the bad guy in an action adventure film, the bad guy, the bad girl. This is the pain in their lives that we need a superhero to come and save. Now, this is a list that I made back in 2008. When in the wake of, there was a big economic crisis back then, as well as, you know, what we're looking at now. I've been feeling kind of a deja vu for the past year. And every time there's a big global crisis, we see a lot of new solutions being born out of that. So for example, there was a bad economy, entire companies were collapsing, the stock market was in the gutter. So that gave birth to the sharing economy. Airbnb, Uber, Lyft, all of these places where people were turning their belongings into something shared, touring, get around. So that didn't exist beforehand. There was a problem, someone identified and started working on it. Security vulnerabilities, that's been around for a long time, cyber security. Waste in the system, sustainability has just come and become much bigger. The last three, boredom, popularizing cultural trend, missing a great opportunity, those are like the opportunity. It's like the carrot, not the stick. So all these other things are like the stick that's threatening us. This is the, oh my gosh, this could make my life much better. I mean, think about TikTok. It's not that we've solved world hunger through doing TikToks, but it addresses boredom. We all are bored. We want something to fill our time. Isn't it fun to share our little creations and dances and things with friends? Same thing with any social media that's come up. It's not a must-have, but it's something we've become addicted to that's worth a lot of money for the company. So those are the points you have to hit on. Nowadays, when this pandemic first hit last March, and I was trying to think about, you know, how best to help the startups I work with. So I identified the 5 areas that I think, or I thought then, and I still think now, are going to be the big areas of focus during this time or after this time. So remote work and collaboration. How many of you have been studying from home for the past over a year, almost a year? It's crazy. So Zoom, as great as it is not really meant for collaboration. It's not meant for learning. Your teachers are doing the best they can, but it doesn't have any element of something engaging, like being in a classroom, being with other people. I'm giving a speech at a conference next week, and I just had a test run on this new platform that's super cool. It like makes it like a world, and you move through it with your little avatar, and you get to see all these rooms. So it's the first time I saw something that really looked like a feel of being at a conference where you can go and you can network with people. And so I think that's going to be big. Education tech is also going to be big. Money savings, financial crisis, digital health. I haven't wanted to take my daughters to the doctor even for a well checkup because I don't want to go into a doctor's office and expose us. So how are they going to improve tools for digital health? I have a lot of clients working on things that'll help remotely. Logistics. Do you remember the beginning of the pandemic? We couldn't get toilet paper. How crazy is that they were out of toilet paper in the United States? We're not talking some far off country or far off island. And there was a real problem with logistics, which now we're also seeing with vaccinations. Major problem, major systems missing in tracking and distribution and freeing up bottlenecks. These are things that you will be able to solve with your skills and your talents. You will be the next generation of these solutions that solve it. So it's very important to kind of key into what the world really needs now, because that's going to increase your chances of winning and of raising money if you actually do turn this into a startup. Okay, so we had the problem or opportunity. That's Act 1. Act 2, your solution. How are you going to solve that? And I want you to create a sentence that's going to be probably as hard as it is to code. Your simple solution statement. We do X for Y by Z. All right, you need to be able to explain it simply. There's another way to do it. Adeo Resi, who established an organization called Founders Institute, he made it like a Mad Lib where you fill in the world. My company, blank, is developing a defined offering to help a defined audience solve a problem with a secret sauce. Secret sauce is basically, it comes from like the McDonald's and Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola has syrup. McDonald's had a secret sauce on their Big Mac that it just made them something irresistible. So it had this unfair advantage. What's your unfair advantage? What makes you the contender? So if you have it, that's a great thing to bring up. And as soon as possible, I want you to show what you've done, to show. You give the sentence and then show us. And even if you only have 3 minutes, I would devote about a minute to showing us the product. It really makes a difference. Now, you don't have to just, obviously after just a few days in a hackathon, you won't have done it all, but you'll be able to kind of give us an idea and walk us through. You just walk us through the user story. If someone was using this, who would it be? What's the use case? What were they trying beforehand? And now what does it look like when they're using your solution? How simple is the onboarding? How easy is the implementation? And then what are the projected results? If you can open their mind and their imagination to see that this is something that you've got to work after a few days and it's got massive potential, you're in really good shape. How far along are you? Obviously, after a hackathon, not too far unless you're already working on something you've been working on for a while and you just did an additional layer of development. But this is where you would tell them what phase you're at. Then there's 3 things I want you to touch on in more of the business thing. Now, I don't know what the requirements are that you include in your pitch, but the 3 main things that you want to touch on, and this is Act 3, your business, differentiation. What sets you apart from competitors? And this is super important to know. We never want to badmouth our competitors. We never want to say they're just, because you never know who's sitting in the room that might have been involved with them. It's great that you have competitors. It proves that you have a market. How are you doing things different? That's what you need to be able to show, your true differentiation. Monetization, how will you make money? How will people pay you for this? Will they pay you? Can you prove that? Have you done some market research? Have you talked to people and see that people are interested in paying to solve this villain in their lives? And finally, opportunization. I know that's not a real word, but it rhymes with monetization and differentiation, so it's an easier way to remember it. So opportunization, it's not just how big your market is. And obviously you want to work with a big market if you want to get funding because they want something that gives them a lot of money back for the money they're putting into your company. But this is more the FOMO factor, FOMO, fear of missing out. Investors suffer from FOMO big time. And none of them want to feel like they missed the train of the next big Airbnb or Uber. So you need to kind of draw a vision of something that's happening that shows that this is really a big opportunity. So go back to what we talked about with the new pains, the new villains that we're looking at. You can look at trends in the market. COVID has accelerated a lot of processes that were already changing, like things in retail. We're at home now. We're out shopping a lot less. So everything's being done from home. It's changed the mindset. People are online a lot more. So it's changed buying behavior. So if you can find some of these interesting stats to show the market has shifted and we are right there to capture that's an excellent thing. Your team, who they are, you don't want to spend too much time on each of them, and just enough to show the skills that you have in your team. And finally, I want you to end with inspiration. I've worked with so many hackathons and demo days where the founder will give a great pitch and then at the end be like, that's it. Thank you. Seriously? That's the best you can do? No. Excite them. You started with your vision statement, end off with how you're going to get there. You can end with a quote, an inspiring quote. You can take the story of your origin story and then cap it off with, okay, what's happening now with it or what will happen with it. Just end in a way that leaves them wanting to hear more. So that is the structure. So basically for your 5-minute pitch or for an investor pitch, this is the structure, the 4 acts of the play. Obviously, if you only have 3 minutes, each one will have less content in it. So the need, challenge, problem, act 1. Proposed solution or, product, technology, that's act 2. The business of it, how are you going to make money? How are you different? That's act 3. And your vision for the future. How will you move forward, other products. And again, this is the full-blown investor deck outline, but the structure is the same. And then I like to end off with a slide called key investment merits, or why us, why now. What about if we shrink it down and somebody says, okay, tell me in 30 seconds what it is that you do. same structure. So many times I see people that they have a 30-second or a 1-minute opportunity, and all they do is talk about the product because they're like, well, if I only have a minute, I should talk about the product, right? Wrong. Don't miss that moment to engage your audience's gut and mind and heart, because that's what you do when you talk about the problem story. So because they're engaged and they're listening and they're identifying with what you're saying. So even if you shrink it down, don't miss that format. Let's talk about your slides. If you're making slides, whoever's designing the slides, your slides are a reflection of your product. So I know you may not be graphic designers, some of you might have it, but there's some great tools that you can use that are free to use or freemium. SlideBot, SlideBean, Canva, Beautiful AI, Emaze, Haiku Deck. These are all tools that you can use to really make the slides pop. Try not to make your audience want to commit suicide. Don't poison them with PowerPoint bullets. One big idea per slide. All right. The minute you have crunched together all these slides with teeny tiny font and they're just going to lose it. And then the biggest problem is when they're reading, there's no way they're listening to you unless you're reading verbatim what's on the slide, and you don't want to do that. But the same part of our brain that's responsible for reading is the same part for listening. And you can't do both. Have you ever tried writing an email and talking on the phone at the same time? One will take over from the other. Even women who were very good multitaskers, it's just not going to work. And then just to piggyback on that, the one big idea that grandma could understand, or grandpa, okay, or our parents. Have you tried to explain to your parents what you're doing in AI and machine learning? Now, if they're engineers or computer scientists, they probably understand it, but my grandmothers, both of them, did not come from that field. It took my mom 5 years to understand what a corporate storyteller did, but that's another. So it's our responsibility to explain it so that anyone would get it. You're dealing with very deep technologies and you've been studying this for a long time. Not everyone is as versed. So as Einstein said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Simple, simple, simple. Questions, Q&A. You will be asked questions by the panel. The best thing you can do is prep not only for your pitch, but prep for the questions. I made a list here on this link, and I'm going to send, remind me to send you the slides after this. This list of questions that investors ask at meetings. So what you can do is pull out some of the questions that you think you might be asked that you didn't address in the pitch, and write out answers that way, and then review them. That way, if they ask you a question, you already have an answer thought out. Keep your energy up, be memorable. When you're up there presenting, you don't want to be like, yes, we've created this amazing AI-based bookkeeper that will take your files and excitement. Show how passionate you are about this. Get the person from your team that's the most enthusiastic to present the pitch. And fear. Some of you might have presented before, and some of you, this might be your very first time, and you might be feeling those butterflies in the stomach. And that's fine, because the butterflies can be our best friends if we let them. So instead, so by the way, butterflies in the stomach, think about it. When we're nervous and when we're excited, we get butterflies. What's the difference? It's the branding we give it. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, I've got to give this pitch, try this. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited, I gotta give this pitch. And your body will start to believe you eventually. The butterflies will go, ooh, excited, I'm so excited, I want to party. And they throw on their Burning Man clothes and start playing Tiesto and popping shots of vodka, and they start to fly, and they take you with them, because really those butterflies want to be helpful, and they can be. And then fear becomes face everything and recover. Most likely you're going to do great. Most likely you're going to emerge when they're feeling great. So I want you to kind of get that feeling. Remember a time where you really succeeded at something. You gave a great presentation. You were in a play. You delivered a report in class and everybody applauded and you just felt so great. Grab some of that. And here's my last point of the day. Walk in the room at your best. They don't know that you were up all night coding. They don't know that you just had a fight with one of the team members. They don't know that you were late this morning. They don't know any of that. But the person that walks into the room, even if it's a Zoom room, is you to them. And I'll tell you a secret. They really want to like you. They want to like you and they want to like your product, because when an investor invests, they're going to be in a relationship with you for longer than a lot of marriages last. They are in it for the long haul. So they want to know that they're with someone that when things go wrong, they're coachable, they're open, they're workable. So I know a lot of companies that when things got really tough during COVID this year, they closed. And I know a lot of companies that were able to rise to the occasion, pivot, and do extraordinary work this year. So that's all I have. Oh, and this is all because there's no second chance for a first impression. If you think about the first impression that people have made on you, whether it's friends, whether it's someone you might be working with, whether it's some kind of an interview, usually the first few seconds tell us if we want to be in touch with this person again or not. So let's make those first few seconds great. And that's all I've got for you today. I want to wish you all a ton of luck with this hackathon and with your careers. And as you move forward, if I can be of any help, please reach out. It's my email and my website, and please let me know. Tons of luck. I can't wait to hear what the winning product was. As far as I'm concerned, you all are winners. Thank you, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Donna, for this amazing workshop. I hope our young entrepreneurs will absorb some valuable nuggets of wisdom from your pitching workshop, and we can't really wait to see their pitches. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks.